welcome to another interview on the YouTube Power Hour podcast. This week I am interviewing Shanygne from Too Much Mouth. Now Shanygne in this interview talks a lot about how she went from having a channel that grew very quickly to then stalling a little bit, and what exactly she did to bring her channel back to growth. Shanygne is a wealth of knowledge, and she shared so much amazing insight that I know you are going to love. So make sure that if you haven't already, like this video and subscribe, hit that notification bell, because every single week I have new interviews for you with today's hottest female YouTube creators. Enjoy the interview. Mwah. Well, hello, Shanygne. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm really excited to have you. And why don't you just share with our viewers and listeners what inspired you to get onto YouTube back when you did?
Okay, it's actually kind of like a sad story when I talk about it. So before I was doing YouTube, I was actually a blogger for about a year or so. And I started because when I was a junior in college, I randomly got the news that my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh,
And, I was living away from home.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really talk to your family with stuff like that because they're trying to process it at the same time. You can't really talk to your friends because you don't really understand it until you're living through it.
Yeah.
So I was at the time, well, I like makeup, so I could start talking about that. So I started one of those WordPress blogs, and I started blogging about makeup on there. And then the people who followed me on there were this would be a good time to start a YouTube channel so that you could visually show the things that you're talking about. So I was like, okay, sure. So I started a YouTube channel just doing the same things I was doing on the blog on the channel. And then it just kind of took off from there.
What year was that?
That was 2015.
2015. And so what do you talk about on your YouTube?
I feel like when I started, it was really just makeup, makeup reviews, recommendations, stuff like that. As I've progressed throughout the time, I feel like I've incorporated a little bit more lifestyle, and especially right now during this whole quarantine thing, I feel like I've started incorporating even more entertainment on my channel, because I feel like we're at a time right now where you can't really go out, so you're not really buying makeup like that. So people don't really care for, tutorials to wear to the living room, So I feel like, talking about just worldly things or shows, stuff like that, I've incorporated more of that in my channel this year.
Yeah, I think I think the beauty industry is really interesting with everything happening with quarantine, because a lot of people are saying things got shaken up a little bit. They are getting shaken up a little bit because people aren't doing their normal activities. So when you say entertainment, what are some examples of that?
A couple months ago, I did a video on wrestling. Now it's funny because I would say a majority of the people who follow me for beauty. They're not really the people who are checking for things like sports or sports entertainment. But I got my degree in public relations, and that's what I was going for. I was going for a degree in public relations so I could work in the world of professional sports when it comes to public relations. So I am someone who likes sports, and I was thinking of posting the video, and I was like, they're not going to want to watch this. But I was like, you know what? It's my channel, so I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So I the video, and I was getting comments from people like, I didn't know you liked wrestling. It's so cool to see especially another woman talking about wrestling, and who knows, so it's so that was a cool experience, bringing something like that to the table. I like fashion as well, so there are people who do the videos on red carpet styles and stuff like that. Again, couldn't do too many of those because there haven't been that many during quarantine. But that type of entertainment I've incorporated into, talking about makeup as well.
So how do you feel that it's been doing for your channel since you've made a little bit of that shift?
I have seen a very substantial change in my growth in the last few months.
Oh, really?
I was just talking about that the other day. And I think it might, a lot of it boils down to, finding what's for you. Sometimes you can jump into a category and you don't have to specifically stay there, because it's like once people start coming there for you, they're going to stick there for you with whatever that you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, my username is Too Much Mouth, and I think I'm starting to realize like that is what is keeping people entertained. Not exactly like what I'm talking about, but just the fact that I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm saying when I'm saying these things. So I found that recently a lot of my like commentary videos, even commentary on makeup, but
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily, reviewing makeup, not necessarily saying, this is a dewy foundation, but more so talking about like maybe
Like
behind
the
the scenes.
industry. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like I feel like those have been doing well. So ever since I started, like making that change, I went from, I think the numbers say like two to maybe 2,000
Mm-hmm.
um, subscriber growth in a month to, I think last month it was like seven.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard of you prior because of your commentary videos on the makeup community, the YouTube community, and I feel like I had heard about you because of that. So,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, I gotta have her on the podcast, you know. And then when I looked at into your channel, I looked at it, I'm like, oh, she does beauty, but I did notice that a lot of your commentary on the beauty community is really what you're now becoming known for.
Right. And I think it's also because it's not necessarily like, me getting on here and saying, this is how you should think and this is how you should feel. I think it's also because I can give you the perspective of both sides. I can give you
Mm.
the perspective of a consumer and the brand, tell you, like how the two could coexist better or what either side could do better. So I think it's also because it's not like I'm talking at you with
Mm-hmm.
my opinions. I'm talking with you and I'm allowing room for discussion.
Yeah. So then, how do you decide which topics you're gonna have on your channel?
I think paying attention to like what people are talking about right now
Mm.
is a good way of doing that. And also, I think, again, like I said with the whole wrestling thing, like it might not do so well, but it's your channel, so you can do it anyway. So I think it's a balance of paying attention to what's going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
what people are talking about, what they would want to have a conversation with, and also what do you want to talk about, like so that you have that way of still keeping your channel, and so you don't feel like you have to do something. It's something that you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. So, I always ask the question of, was there when you first started your channel? Because we talked a little bit offline that within the first year of you having your channel, you're at over 100,000 subscribers, and then at that point, you basically went full time with YouTube, which
Right.
is incredible. So, was there a point, or what was there a tipping point for your channel when you were blogging and then you said, "You want to just try this YouTube thing"? Was there a tipping point that you're like, "Whoa, okay, this is a thing"? Was there a video that went viral, or what happened there?
Funny thing when I have this conversation with people. So I posted my first video on YouTube ever in October 2015, and I feel like it did okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next video I posted was a ColourPop lipstick swatch review video, and like this is going back almost 5 years ago. For the beauty community space, as far as being a dark skinned Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
it was not how it looks now.
Mm-hmm.
Even now to this day, if I were to say, like, can you name 10 dark skin? A lot of people couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 years ago, it was even worse. So when I posted that video, I posted it, and not too many people can say like the second video that they ever posted on YouTube quickly got like 30,000 views on
Mm-hmm.
it. And I feel like that video kind of helped me like quickly take a quick jump on the platform. But shortly before reaching 100,000 subscribers, I posted a video, and it was on a NYX foundation. That's also something that I do on YouTube. I'm
Mm-hmm.
known for testing quite a few foundations
Foundations.
for the reasons that, a lot of people my skin tone need help when it comes to finding shades that are going to work for us and stuff like that. So I posted that video on the NYX foundation, and that is my first video that ever reached 1 million views on it,
Wow.
and it reached it in a quick amount of time. And I would say like that video is what helped me reach, like 100,000 so quickly. And also that video is also what helped me kind of get a name out there for myself, as far as, being someone who was my skin tone that you can go to on the internet, who's going to give you reviews for a whole bunch of different foundations. And like 5 years later, I think I've tested like well over 100.
Yeah, I saw that on your channel. And I mean, it's so true that, back, 5 years ago, just the representation of just varied skin tones and backgrounds just wasn't like it is today. And
Right.
that you were there in that moment to be able to represent this whole
Right.
group that just really wasn't represented.
Right.
Yeah. And so from there, was that your intention, in creating your videos? You said, what, I really want to represent the dark skinned women and, their skin tone. Was that your intention and wanting to kind of create a channel around that? Or what was your thoughts when that was happening?
I think so. Like, again, I did get into it just because I needed some type of outlet, but I
Mm-hmm.
also feel like, I also got into it because I needed an outlet where I could find, people who look like me, and I
Yeah.
could help people who look like me. And then when it did start taking off so quickly, I felt as if, it is taking off for
Yeah.
me, and
There's a
people are
need.
watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to help be that voice out there for the people who look like me to get better representation, to where 5 years later, yeah, it's not great,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a lot better than it was in 2015.
Yeah, and the great thing is that there's people such as you that were paving that path, for other people that were there, and so, yeah, no, that's great. So then, after a year, your channel just took off, and then you basically did YouTube full time at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So then, what did your schedule consist of? How often were you uploading a week, and then what was your kind of weekly planning and uploading schedule like?
So I started doing it full time after about a year,
Mm.
like since 2016. And I am not going to lie, I wouldn't say I got like a firm grasp on this until like late last year. I feel like I've tried it all. I've
Hmm.
tried, what's it like uploading every day? What's it like uploading once a week? What's it like uploading 3 times a week? And I feel like it's really like last year, I could say, where I got down to, I'm going to upload 3 times a week. I found that's what works
Mm.
best for me. And as far as like, maintaining it, like how many days I film, and, when I edit, am I going to edit on the same day? Am I going to film, edit, and upload on the same day, which a lot of the times I end up doing. And so that part, I'm still working on that. I've gotten it down to like, I'm going to film 3 times, I'm going to upload 3 times a week. And, in 2020, I'm getting it down to how I'm going to manage that, because I want to say the first 3 years, I was literally just throwing it out there and seeing what works for me.
Yeah. So it sounds like for you, 2020 is just really managing and figuring out your workflow.
Yeah.
So what have you done so far this year to maybe make it more effective for you?
Well, I think being in the house and like really having nothing else to do because you can't go anywhere
Yeah.
has helped. So, again, this year I've been trying it as well. Like, okay, so do I want to film every other day? Do I want to film, 3 days in a row and then have, 4 days to myself? Do I want to film multiple videos in a day so that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm easing my workload? And so I've been testing that out in 2020, and I found, at least myself, like an every other day thing has been helping me. So, today is Tuesday. So after we do this, I'm going to film tomorrow's video, and then edit and have that ready to upload for tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
if I upload on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'd be filming on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So 3 times a week, and you said how long have you been doing that 3 times a week schedule for?
Since about like mid 2019, I want to say.
Okay. Did you see a bump in growth when you added an additional video, or I don't know if you were at one or two before?
I really couldn't even. I really don't even feel like I could tell you if I
Oh,
was at
really?
work. I feel like it was just kind of like I'm gonna just throw this out there type of
Okay.
thing. But I definitely feel like I've seen a difference since I've gotten more consistent. Like I feel like people, like I've gotten comments where it's like, oh, it's Friday, there was no video. I was expecting it. Like I've seen a difference that like when people expect it, kind of like TV, like, Gossip Girl was going to come on every Monday. So you have something to look forward to. So that definitely has helped me in the growth that I've seen this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 3 videos a week, that's definitely, a lot more content out there.
Yeah.
So I know with the beauty industry or the beauty community on YouTube, because I work with a lot of YouTubers, a lot of beauty YouTubers, and one of the things is after so many years and you've been on the platform for a few years, how do you keep your content fresh? Like, how do you always come up with new ideas to keep your channel fresh and relevant?
Again, I think it goes back to paying attention to the tone of the industry and your audience, because sometimes they can be at two different places, but also like allowing yourself to change, but still staying true to you at the same time. And I feel like that all kind of but it does kind of all intertwine at some point, because I would say I did hit that 100,000 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It took a minute to get to like 150,000, and then once I got there, I was like, okay, 200,000 is like right around the corner. It's like right around the corner, and then like it was like, okay, maybe not so right. Okay, maybe not so right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we
got a few more blocks to go. Okay.
I got a couple more miles to go. I thought it was gonna be like a 2-minute walk.
Yeah.
But I just hit 200,000 in March of this year. So it's like 3 years later after the other one. I can admit that, throughout the time I did stay a little stagnant, and, I'm just like a beauty channel and stuff like that. So again, once I started incorporating more of my own personality into my channel, along with what I've noticed other people want to see in the beauty community, I think that has helped me maintain to where I just hit 200,000 in March, but it's August and I just hit 220,000 in August, So again, I've definitely seen that difference there. And I think funny, I just asked this question on Twitter, like right before I sat down to film this. And I was like, if you had to say like what makes an influencer stagnant and stuff like that, like what do you think makes an influencer someone who's fallen behind? A lot of the people in the comments were saying, someone who just becomes comfortable with where they are, like they just decide to I'm gonna post makeup tutorials and that's it. For some people that does work. For a lot of people it's like, okay, well, after like the 200th makeup tutorial.
Exactly.
Especially when you're trying to do this for years. There are people who've been doing this since 2009, 2010. It's just kind of like there are only so many green looks you can do, and even if you do reviews, there's a whole bunch of different products, but if the way that you do the reviews stay the same for 5 years, it's just kind of like, okay, once you've seen it, like you've seen it all. So you have to somehow keep your personality in the content that you upload while also allowing yourself to grow and also paying attention to what the people who are following you, which is what you need the most to survive in this industry, are saying to you about what you post.
Yeah, that's really, really great. And it's so true. I mean, it's like it can get stagnant. And there are people that I'm sure you could think of that have been on YouTube for years and they haven't really reinvented themselves. And they're still doing like 2015 YouTube and their channel's dying.
Right.
They're not going anywhere.
Like, I feel like a lot of people, when you see them getting attention for saying things like, my channel's not going anywhere, or I feel like, you guys aren't as interested, or I'm not getting as many views as I used to. When you read the replies to those people, the comments are always, well, yeah, because it's kind of like you're giving us the same thing over and over again. And what baffles me is when influencers ask for feedback on, why they're stagnant and then do nothing to change it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it was said in a way of like a, why aren't you supporting me type of way,
Yeah.
and not listening to the why they're not supporting you. Just like a why aren't you supporting me? You should be supporting me type
Yeah.
of way. Like, no, you got to listen to why they're saying they're not supporting you, because they're there. They like
Mm-hmm.
you. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
follow. But if they're saying, I'm not really clicking because you're not giving me anything that I want to watch, like that's something you need to take in. And I think, you know, when you do this type of business, you are very sensitive to your own content. And
Mm-hmm.
when you make it, you think like it's the next best thing since sliced bread, but then you post it and it doesn't get that reception that you expected in your head. And I feel like a lot of people get sensitive to that, and it's like, yeah, the internet can be mean. They can be, a little too harsh when it comes to content, but you also have to be in a headspace enough to where you know that like you need to listen to what some of the people are saying, you know?
Oh, yeah. I think that's such a good lesson because you're right. People get caught up in their own content and what
Right.
they're doing. And then when people are really trying to actually be helpful and give them some feedback, people maybe they don't want to hear it. Like you said, if they're not in that headspace to be able to receive it and take
Right.
that criticism without taking it personally,
Right.
then it's just going to further mess them up.
Right. It just remains like a back and forth of, you know, why aren't I getting this? Well, this is why I'm not going to listen. Okay, but you're going to continue to not get it. And then you're going to continue to ask. We're going to continue to tell you. And I've actually like seen that with people. And I'm like, at some point, we got to take a little accountability, or
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because again, like, yeah, the internet is mean. And there are some influencers, like they could post, like I walked outside and it was raining, and they could get hundreds of people saying like negative
Yeah,
things to
hate
them.
comments.
And when you are someone who every little thing that you say can be picked at, I understand why you can be so sensitive to receiving criticism. But in this industry, you're a musician, anything that is really heavy on your type of content being accepted for you to be successful, like you have to.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. So for you, when was that moment where you made a shift and you said, you know what, I'm going to try something different? And then how was that received when you first did it?
I feel like I kind of dabbled my toes in it a little
Okay.
bit last year. Again, was still kind of uploading, just kind of like whatever, seeing what happened. But again, really probably 2020. I think like before then I was still a little, I don't know if I should post that because I don't know how people would receive it. Or something new that I started doing this year is a series called The Downfall of, talking about just the history of makeup brands, and like where they could go better with consumers and stuff like that. And, after I posted like the first one, I got a comment that was like, well, why would we care to know about like the history of brands? And I thought about it and I was like, dude, would they care? Like, would people care to just sit around talking about, the ups and the downs of a brand? And yeah, I was like, well, I did it and I liked doing it, so I'm going to continue doing it. And it's like quickly become one of the most successful things on my channel. So I think this year, 2020, is when I really stopped, you could say doubting myself, but also limiting myself because of fear of, how it'll be perceived. Because at the end of the day, you're going to lose followers regardless. You could post a makeup tutorial and someone's like, you know what, you've done one too many makeup tutorials for me. I'm out of here. So, I mean, if you start uploading it and you see that, oh, it's just really not doing well, then maybe you should make your change. But one video that you post because you think it's something that people might like not doing well isn't going to kill your entire channel. So just take that risk of, doing something that you like to do and seeing how it goes on you. It can't hurt you.
Which video was that for you where you felt like, oh, okay, this is really well received? Was there one specific video?
I've started doing a couple. I'm trying to remember like all the things. I've started a couple series on my channel this year. There is the Downfall one, because again, with the having a degree in PR, like that's something that's interesting to me. It probably wouldn't be interesting to like the most normal consumer. They're just like, okay, I just want to buy my stuff and go. But because I have a degree in PR, like I like analyzing the little things that brands do as far as PR goes. So that's why I started talking about it. In an industry where like it's usually pushing a lot of makeup, I started a pretty drastic declutter series. I did one where it was like I've got, I don't know, 55 setting powders. Now I'm gonna try to get my way down to 3. Like that's pretty drastic
Yeah.
to cut 52. Um, Again, I did the wrestling video. I'm also on a weight journey, this fitness journey this year, so I started doing that as well. And I think it was after the wrestling one where like it wasn't totally horrible, where I was just like, okay, maybe I can exist just doing more than makeup or a clothing try on haul every now and then.
Do you feel like you're happier with your channel and the content because you are adding a little variety to it?
Yeah, I'm definitely happier with it, especially because it has been so different. I feel like people are talking more in my comments, and like that's what makes being on here fun. If you were on the internet, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and you just posted your stuff and went about your day, like you didn't interact with any of the people that followed you, it'd be like, what is the point?
What's the point?
So I feel like the fact that people feel more inclined to comment now because I'm giving them content where they can say more than just, oh, like that's a pretty copper eye. It's made it more enjoyable because it's well, there are their downsides to everyone feeling the need to say everything that comes across the lines on the internet. But for the most part, the conversations have been enjoyable. So it's made it a lot easier. And it's kind of like when you're doing it and like you're happy to be doing it, like you don't feel like you have to because you make money off of this. It's made it it's made it easier to make this something that I have to do my job.
Yeah, more enjoyable, the whole process. Yeah, and so for you, what would you say is the biggest struggle that you deal with when it comes to your channel?
I would say managing it. Like when you do everything by yourself, I would say that's the biggest struggle because you also have to live a life outside of it. So when you film yourself, you edit yourself, you have to get materials yourself. You have to take your pictures yourself. You have to answer. Well, I do have a manager, but still, you have to get on calls. You have to do this. You have to do that, and you're doing it all for the most part like yourself. It gets very overwhelming, and it's a constant thing because you take like a week, especially on YouTube, you take like a week break from not uploading and the algorithm is like, you don't exist anymore. It's literally just like 1 week, but you go 1 week without uploading and then it's like, oh, we don't have to contact your subscribers and let them know that you uploaded because you dropped off for a week. You don't exist anymore. It's like it gets very overwhelming trying to find a balance between doing a lot of it yourself, having to do it a lot of the time, still trying to live a life, and then like still trying to maintain your own sanity.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's definitely a grind. I mean, the thing is that with YouTube, it's constant contact. I mean, constant content. So you're constantly it's not like, oh, I did a great video. It's doing really well. I'll take a couple weeks off. It's like, nope, you still got to put that video, and especially with 3 videos a week, that is a lot to maintain all by yourself.
Right. I mean, you were right too, even with the constant contact.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, like you finish when I finished at my desk job, I got to go home. I didn't have to deal with, my coworkers. My boss wasn't going to call me or text me at 11 p.m. and ask me something that happened during the day. But when you're doing this, there are people always trying to contact you. You always have a notification coming from somewhere, especially if you are active on all of the social media accounts that there are out there, which nowadays you have to do if you want to remain someone who's in the known. So it's like, when you go to sleep, there's still 50 people who are commenting or messaging you on Instagram or YouTube. There's still notifications coming in on Twitter. Like if people actually left their notification banners on their phone on, their phones would die in 5 minutes because it's constant contact with people that are around you, which also makes it hard.
Yeah. How do you manage that?
I don't have those notifications on.
Yeah.
Um, I when I go to sleep at night, I do that like do not disturb thing so that I don't get like any of those. Um, but I see my YouTube comments or my Instagram or Twitter from going onto the app, and I've tried to get better at like making times for it. So I'll upload my YouTube video on a Wednesday, and then I'll make an hour or two on Thursday to go answer the comments from the day before and stuff like that. Because especially if you expose yourself to it constantly, I've also done that before, and it's draining.
Yeah.
It's draining, it's tiring, and if you are someone who does get, a lot of flack, it's damaging as well. Like I've seen some of the things that well, mind you, my skin tone makes it a little harder for me because you wouldn't see like racial slurs on other people's like it's a makeup tutorial, so you're not gonna see a racial slur on your video. But I've gotten that before. So, like knowing myself how it feels, I'll see other people, especially like these kids, like these TikTokers who are like 16, 17 years old. And I see like nitpicking at everything that they do. And when you experience it yourself, you feel more for someone like that. But even if you don't, you're just like, how do you treat someone like that? And also like, terrible. How do you deal with that? Especially when you're like that young.
Yeah, I do think the younger you are, it's very difficult to deal with the pressures of being a social media star per se, because it's like you're putting yourself out there, but unfortunately it's like there's this mentality of people are just able to just treat you or whoever it is just like they could just say whatever they want, like that they're not humans. And it's pretty terrible. And so for you, how have you, like you said, you've dealt with that in the past, like how have you dealt with that? Have you just block? Do you do censors on certain words, or do you just kind of say, do you know what, just gonna delete you and move on? How do you deal with that?
I feel everyone has their down days to where it's like I can't take it anymore, because I feel like for the most part, I'm again, especially a lot of it, it's like I've heard it before, like once someone says it, the first time, the second time, okay, now we're on like the 50th time, especially it's been 5 years. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna, like either delete the comment or block the account. But, everyone has those days where it's just like, I don't need this today. I'm not going to take it today. And everyone does have those days where they pop off. And that's when you see, an influencer starts like ranting on Instagram or Twitter about this or that. And it's like that tipping point. And, people are like, oh, well, why don't you just ignore it? Why don't you just do this? And it's like, that's very easy to say, like when you're not doing it. And the thing is, when you see that person finally hit that point, it's from hitting a point. It's not like they haven't tried ignoring it and they haven't this or that, but like everyone is human, So I do for the most part ignore it. I do for the most part just delete it, because the good definitely outweighs the bad that I get on the internet. For every one negative comment, I get 100 positive ones. So I also like to use that to keep me balanced. But there is you can censor words from being posted on your content. I do have one friend who I've seen her list of the words that she's had to censor. It's sad that she would have to censor those because she gets them, but I understand why she has so many of them censored, because people I don't even know how you would describe it. It's like they're doing it not even because they even like mean it, but just because it's something to do. Because
they can. Well, and also it's like, I do think hurt people. And so, and as cheesy as it is, I do think that, because when you talk to most people that just are, happy functioning people, they're not going to sit there and just talk negatively. Like I don't even, I can't even wrap my head around, just typing something negative to another creator. It just seems weird. But people, I think too, there's a lot of really young people that I think it comes from a lot of really young people that are just, I don't know, they think it's fun, or I don't know, but
it is a personality. It really is a personality trait for some people. saying negative things and then getting attention for it. Like
Yeah.
especially on Twitter, you'll see
So bad.
people like they get blocked and they're proud of it. Like, oh my God, she blocked me. I won this
Yeah.
like no, you didn't win anything because they blocked you. That person just protected their peace by
Mm-hmm.
saying like I don't have to engage in this. And it's like people think getting some type of recognition or engagement from you is it's like a game. It's like winning to some people,
Mm.
and it's
You're right.
um,
Yeah.
I think the internet allows like a different reality for people because a lot of people how they act on the internet is not how they would act in real life. That you're
Yeah.
not walking up to someone and saying that your skirt is ugly to their
Mm-hmm.
face. So I
Yeah.
think the internet also allows people to live like a different reality that they might want to. I don't know why you would want to live that type of reality in real life, but it allows them to kind of be someone who they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also why they like doing it.
Yeah, it is. And it can really turn into a very toxic environment, for people on both ends, for the people doing it, because then they get almost desensitized to
Yeah.
being so nasty and
Right.
disgusting. And I think it's happening at a young age, but also even on the other side for the receiving end, it can, like you said, at some point there could be a tipping point. If there's so much onslaught of this, you see people just kind of going off, and you don't know what they've been through at that point, or how many hundreds or even thousands of negative comments. So it is really interesting. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the interview, and I do what's called the hot seat round at the end of each interview, where I just rattle off questions, and at the top of your head, you respond.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right,
Yes.
let me get it.
Nervous.
So, what is your favorite video that you've uploaded onto your channel?
My favorite. Oh, I've got like over 500. My favorite video that I've uploaded would probably have to be my most viewed one because it took me an entire day to film it and edit it and upload it. I didn't upload it until like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was unboxing
The
like 20
subscription
different
box
subscription
overload.
boxes.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
fun unboxing them to see what's inside of it. And then, like the whole, like the work I put into uploading it, that's probably why it's my favorite.
That's awesome. That for you, your favorite turned out to be your most viewed.
Yeah.
2.4, I'm looking at your channel right now, 2.4 million views. The subscription
Yeah.
box
That's not
overload.
like a box of opening subscriptions is my most viewed and
Yeah.
it's 2 million views, but I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. I mean, because you had 20 boxes. I mean, I think that's a really clever idea. And what's interesting, I'm looking at it right now, it's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That is
That's
really interesting. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Okay. And then you took my next question, which is your highest viewed video. So we'll move on. Was there any specific video that you were really, really excited about that just flopped?
I was really I mean, I've talked about it a few times in this video. It didn't flop to me, but it flopped compared to like the other things that I've posted, and that would be the wrestling one. Um, again, I don't think like people expected that upload from me, and back in the day, like the wrestling industry is something that I was really interested in. So uploading the video because it's a video on like my most unpopular opinions about it. So getting it off my chest, I was excited to get those unpopular opinions off my chest. And it technically flopped, but it didn't to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I did one.
What is the biggest opportunity you've received as a result of your YouTube channel?
Um, I've been to Tokyo.
Oh,
I got
very
to
cool.
do a grand trip with Clinique.
Oh,
But I also did a campaign with NYX last year.
ooh.
So one of those two. It's either going to Tokyo with Clinique or being in a campaign for NYX that's like worldwide. Like I get
Wow.
screenshots from people who were like, I'm in France, I'm in Norway, here's your picture in the store. And it's like, I've never been to either of those places, so this is cool. So it has to be one of those two.
Oh, that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about that campaign.
So it was for their, I did a couple of their collections coming out, but the one that's been out is their Born to Glow.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like video and pictures for their concealer, and I'm also wearing like the foundation and stuff like that. But it was like a week long process. Um, I'm excited to see the other ones come out, but that's the only one that's been out so far. And like I said, like it's just cool. You get to walk into a store and like see your face, especially like walking into an Ulta or some store like that you've been a customer of, and you get to walk in and it's like that's my face. That's my face
That's so
there.
cool.
Like my dad knows like nothing about makeup whatsoever. But when, he found out about all this, he was like, so you're gonna take me to the store to see you? And he's like, I'm gonna tell people like that's my daughter. That I'm gonna take pictures and take it to work and be like, that's my daughter. And it was just kind of cool to experience like what it's like filming a campaign, because you're not an influencer. And that's what was the scary part there, because like I was doing it with like actual models, like people who do this for a living, and they're expecting the type of model experience that these other women have. And like you're not that. Like I can take an Instagram picture and that's about it, but you want like billboard quality type of picture. So it was also like a learning experience, but a cool one at that. It's different. Someone's doing your hair, someone's doing your makeup. You can't really touch yourself. If you have like a wrinkle on your shirt, you would easily just be like, okay, I can fix that myself. But like you really aren't supposed to like touch yourself. So it was cool, nerve-wracking, but cool.
That's awesome. What an amazing, how surreal to like you said, see a billboard of yourself walking into a store. I mean, that's amazing. What is your superpower that you think has attributed to your success on YouTube? So I always say everybody has their own superpowers. What is yours?
I think mine, kind of ties into my name being Too Much Mouth. And I saw a comment the other day that was like, "Oh, you have the gift of gab." And I think, talking with people, mind you, like I'm a very big introvert. And I feel like a lot of people don't expect that. One, because I do put myself out there on the internet. But even like listening to me speak, I'm very soft spoken and stuff like that. But I also have a personality where it's like I feel like my gift of gabbing makes other people comfortable. I found like a lot of people are comfortable telling me things about themselves, like even when I've just met them. I feel like a lot of people feel comfortable telling me things that they might not be comfortable telling other people. I feel like my gift or my superpower of gabbing puts people in like a relaxed, comfortable type of headspace. And I like that. I enjoy other people being happy and comfortable. So if me talking to you or the way that I talk to you can help you do that, then I'm here for it.
That's awesome. If you were to start over with your channel right now, what would you do differently?
I think I would take it a little bit more seriously than I did when I started doing it. But again, like back in that day, you didn't really start thinking, I'm going to be like the next mogul 10 years from now. Nowadays, I do feel like, some people start specifically to make this like a business going forward. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think like, when you're just starting to, it is what it is. Like, I'm just going to upload and see what happens. You don't take it that seriously. And so you do have those fluctuating moments. You do have those moments of uncertainty where you're like, what am I doing? So if I go back in time, I would tell myself, take it a little bit more serious. And I also think I would tell myself, like, be a little bit more you and less like a little, like I look back on some videos and I'm like, I probably could have lived without the highlighter challenge, like the full face highlighter challenge. I could have lived that, I could have lived without doing this. So maybe don't rely so much on, the other things that I see people doing. And again, maybe putting a little bit of my own personality out there faster or more, because I feel like, nowadays I can say people feel like my personality comes out more in my videos compared to when I first started. But that could also be nerves.
Yeah, very true. Okay, next question is, and you kind of touched on it maybe a little bit, but what is the number one struggle that you deal with your channel?
Number one struggle, consistency. I also think, like when you have a life outside of it, that also makes it harder. When I started, I was still in college. I had college, an 18 credit semester every semester, and a job to pay for college. So you're doing this as well. Even out of college, you can be married, you can be a mom, you can be this, that, and the other, and especially if you're trying to do it full time, it can get so hard trying to balance everything and, remain consistent when you have to. So I feel like, mind you, I'm not married, I'm not a mom.
Yeah.
I have those things, and I still struggle to be consistent. So I think that's one of the things I struggle with the most.
Do you have plans to bring on people to ever help you with editing or anything like that?
Probably not. So probably not
Mhm.
editing or anything like
Okay.
that. Because, like I'm very, let's
Particular.
say, like very control freak, like a lot of control freak. So that's also like my own downside. That like
Hmm.
yes, I do everything myself, but it's also like because I prefer to do everything myself. Because if I mess up, I can only blame myself. If someone
Hmm.
else messes up, then we might have a problem. And to avoid that, I'm like I'll just do it all myself. But I definitely see like in the future, maybe like an assistant or something like that, or maybe not even like an assistant who helps me like with the production side, but like the back end side,
Hmm.
emails, stuff like that, setting stuff up. But even then, I feel like that probably won't be for like years and years. So
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the
thank you.
show. Where can everybody find you if they aren't familiar with you and your work?
So you can find me on YouTube at Too Much Mouth, and then you can find me at Instagram and Twitter at Your Girl Too Much. And I also have a Facebook that is Too Much Mouth as well.
Awesome. And we're going to have all the links in the description below, and, comment and let us know what type of takeaway did you get from this interview? What did you learn from Shanice's experience, and how can you maybe apply it to your own channel? Thank you so, so much. Bye.
Bye.